Good evening, everybody. It's me, Elliot, again. Here with day 10. Donald Trump, you are fired. Today was a tough one, guys. I got really mad today. The absurdity and the obviousness of this cover-up operation, whatever has been happening with Mitch McConnell. I've been fighting this stuff for 9 years this year. Mostly alone. And my blood has been somewhere between low and high boil most of this time. I haven't been doing my meditation practice the last couple of days, and I'm rushing because partly, it's, for instance, in California, it's not, it's quite a bit of time still until midnight, but I'm hustling because I need to sit for an hour. I spent a lot of time as an angry person when I was young, and I don't like it. It feels like a personal failure for me if I get angry. And we lost Sam Neill today. And it's like, he was Alan Grant, it's like, I don't know how much he internalized that role after Jurassic Park, but he was that character. And so I'm sitting on like towels because I'm covered in lotion I got sunburned on Saturday, so I'm also wearing this shirt that was also basically given to me. I think it was defective, maybe. It's not terribly comfortable, but it doesn't matter to me too much what happens to it, so I just had to throw something on. Without intending to be negative, I very much think that we are beyond, or we are moving really into the deep depths of fever pitch right now. I think things are going to steadily escalate now and get crazier and crazier by the day, and I think that it's going to become clearer that we all, meaning you, all of us, need to get involved. And like I've been saying, if you just can't face it, that's okay. And I would say, bless your heart. But I read something today that kind of felt like kind of tied a lot of things together. I read something on social media about how people who heal from great wounds, great tragedy, a lot of them, versus people who didn't really heal, the ones who did wrote about it. And maybe that's why I've ballparked my journals at 1 million words. I put just about 1 million words on paper. Actually, I've got my most recent one here. Pardon me, I'll get it and grab it. I could show it to you. The one I currently have, I've been putting my plants on. I'm not done customizing it yet. It's a very old book that someone gutted and put recycled paper in. But my last journal, you see, I customized them. I made this. It was inspired by a friend's tattoo, someone I love very much, who's been struggling and who I think is having a really hard time facing this, had some health problems last year. And I hope and have encouraged this person to write. And I'm not the only one who has encouraged this person to write. Yeah, it's very good for us. I'll show you one page out of this. I mean, show you what it looks like. This is what style develops after a long time doing this. And part of this is written in a cipher that I made up when I was 16 years old living in Japan. I call it Revenga, for Revised English Alphabet. It's really just a simple geometric cipher. A guy I was roommates with and one of my best friends from high school actually is one of the only people who looked at it and figured it out. My grandfather also, he looked at it and he figured it out. It's really not that complicated, but it's more just like camouflage. But anyway, and maybe that's why I've been able to heal from great tragedy. So if you feel listless and jaded, and if you feel like it's just really hard for you to face this, but we have to. I mean, we have to face this. The more of us get involved, the more of us stand up, the more of us do something about this. I mean, I've done 10 days of this and my subscriber count on the YouTube channel hasn't increased. It's okay. For all I know, the algorithm is stomping it because I'm not hateful. I'm not being hateful. That's part of why I don't want to get angry. I went out and walked for about an hour before I started doing this tonight. I was so angry I couldn't cook. I planned on cooking a nice meal tonight, and I just went and grabbed something, and it's just sitting over there. Haven't even touched it. I figured I'd just get this done because it's more important to me than eating right now. I've lost like 15 pounds in the last 2 months. Like I mentioned, it's been really tough. I was in the best shape of my life, and young guys rolling down the window as I walked by. "You're super jacked, bro." And I was like, "Thanks, man." I'll get it back. But yeah, I was about 180 pounds. It was good. I was really happy with it. When I get stressed out, the first thing that happens is I lose my appetite. And maybe I have a talent for fasting, because I do intermittently fast. I think it's healthy. We let the body have time to reset. Anyway, I really can't let this go too long tonight. I don't want to. I do need to sit for an hour, and I don't want to be up too late. I know a guy, known him a long time. I helped him with a kind of a campaign he was doing. He was raising funds for a show I think he was doing, and known him a long time, since back in New York. And I helped him even though I had almost nothing at the time. And I respect his journey, and he's been going through some changes and doing some really interesting things, and I'm proud of him. And I think I'm going to tag him on the Instagram plug tonight. His name is Duncan. Hey, Duncan. And he, I could use some help with this. I could. So use some support. But it's okay either way. But, it's like I was there, and it would be great if others could be there now to help with this. Fan some good flames, rather. Look at all these dark flames that are getting fanned in our culture. And it's okay either way, trying to call someone out, but it's like I notice subtle things, like people are busy passing by, encounter each other and stuff like that, but it's like not as much seeming interest in stopping and talking and catching up. And it's like, oh man, like you don't need to feel bad about that or whatever. Or I think I had asked to contribute to something I was doing and didn't happen, and it's all right, but one would hope that isn't a one-way street. But whatever is happening is what's supposed to happen. I really, really feel that. The trust thing, or for lack of a better word, I haven't figured out one yet. Maybe I'll make one up someday. But the faith thing, I'm not preachy. I'm not trying to be preachy here. The faith thing does not happen in here. It happens here. Here. This is the thing that's in the way of what this trusting here. We don't need to think from moment to moment to survive. And we don't need to think to have a sense that it's all going to be all right. Anyway, I bring up my friend Duncan because he said something to me once when I was really, I think, deep in it with these real estate companies that I'm fighting right now in court. And it seriously, it's like a wrecking ball in my life what these people did. They really, really, really messed things up. I mean, I have gotten knocked flat by corruption in this country 9 years, like 3 times. And there was a pandemic, I got so mad today, and it's like it starts a domino effect, because I just think about all these people. I think about people like this Dara Khosrowshahi, the CEO of Uber. Well, you may not know the story of this guy, but his family was in the Iranian Revolution of 1989 on the side you wouldn't want to be on. You had to flee the country. And he worked CEO of Expedia for a while, and then he took over Uber after that Kalanick fool was on the outs because of his behavior and stuff like that. And this Khosrowshahi guy crossed an ocean. His family was run out of their country. He crossed an ocean and came of age and became a middle-aged man and set up shop here. And all he has learned, in my opinion, is how to cross an ocean and steal from people elsewhere. He learned nothing about what happened to that country in 1989, why that happened. Just because when he took over for Uber, and I remember this because I had a terrible experience with them, and I had already fought other companies in the gig economy, and I mentioned it's hard to look sideways and squint at it if you saw the evidence I have. I very, very likely was, single-handedly, but almost single-handedly got a raise for like 30,000 people, because Uber did the same thing, gave a raise 2 weeks after the first raise came to compete, stay competitive with rates. And but when he took over, and it was like I didn't start with them again. I decided to give it a try in like fall 2018. It's 8 years ago almost. And it was because he showed up, and his tagline, Uber's new slogan was, "We do the right thing, period," end quote. And I, being a decent human being, trusting at the time, was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. I didn't know anything about the guy. Worse than ever. It was worse than ever. And I had fled the normal workforce, a lot of us fleeing a terrible job, a lucrative job at a restaurant, a place where they make beer. And I guess in hindsight, you think, well, maybe you would have thought that there'd be a lot of alcoholics working at a place like this, that you have tons of free alcohol all the time. The canning line, if there's anything wrong with it, if it's, they call it low fill, it's not the right weight or something, it'll get kicked to the rejects, and the brewery people come in all the time. We got low fills on this type today, and you come back and just get this whole like big, case full of like tall boys, and then you just have, $100 worth of beer just given to you. But we had fled because the conditions were so awful. And I was fired over a lie that a manager told. And after I was fired, about a month later, that manager was caught stealing out of the safe. And he had done it before. And so I was like, enough of this. I gotta strike out on my own and try to do something on my own. I'm just trying to live here. I'm trying to be an artist. I'm trying to figure things out and heal and learn how to live a life where I'm not self-medicating every day just to sleep. I smoked a lot of weed in my 20s because I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia, undiagnosed, for like 20 years after my mother passed away. I couldn't sleep. I got a lot of demerits in high school. I went to a boys' school, old school, founded in 1889, and excellent school. Would send my boys there if I had children. But I'm tired. I lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. But yeah, I couldn't sleep. I would even get down out of the top bunk and shut the alarm off in my sleep and climb back up, and I'd get really pissed off at my roommate. That sophomore year, I remember, and barely remember anything. This is before I lived in Japan for a year. When I was 16, I lived in Japan. And I'd get really angry at him, like he had turned the alarm off, and he said, no, excuse me. I said, no, dude, I watched you get out of the bed and climb down and shut it off and went back. And my alarm was like a klaxon. It was like a fire, it was like a foghorn. It was like the loudest alarm clock I could find. And I remember one time, the guy that came around and inspected the rooms would immediately give you demerits. He was the guy who did the demerits. You have to go get up on Sunday morning and go to study hall at 8 a.m. if you got enough during a week. And if you missed a class, you get 12. If you were late, it was like prorated. So I remember one time, it's like weird how you remember the scarring experiences. I like hid in my closet when he came around because I heard him coming, and I woke up, and so I was just like living in survival mode for like 20 years. I was just trying to just get through it. And I still managed to like get high honors in high school, and I still managed to get into New York University, and very few people from my school went to New York University. There's one other kid I went there, and we were roommates freshman year. Definitely not good roommates, but he was in the business school. I was in the art school. We got through it, but anyway. But I had to learn how to live, and I figured out how to meditate, and I got, I learned this practice when I was 25, and by the time I was about 30 working at that brewery, I stopped drinking, the managers who were drunks felt compromised. And I remember the general manager, who's like so much an alcoholic, was like wet brain, like he couldn't even run the expo line in the kitchen without messing everything up. And he was making like $500 a day for just counting beans basically in the back, like running the numbers and stuff. But I remember he came up to me and he used to call me Ionically as my first name. And he'd come up to me when he found out I wasn't drinking. I would like taste the beer to be able to sell it to people. And like, I'd go in the back and just spit it back out and put it in the dish bin or whatever. And he'd come up to me, Ionically, why aren't you drinking? And I was like, dude, I don't have to answer that, man. That can't force me to like intoxicate myself on the job. You know, we have a little taste here and there. Crazy day, like, you know, relaxed kind of vibe, but not really. Anyway, but they got bought by Budweiser, by InBev for $200 million while I worked there. And I was open and shut retaliation and wrongful termination. I had a claim, and instead I suffered. I didn't know about the law. I didn't know I could defend myself. And I just went off, and I took some time and went on unemployment and spent 6 months or 8 months like really working on myself and trying to figure out a way to live a happy, peaceful, sober life, and I did. And so I guess I'm telling a little bit more of my story tonight. This is not good, actually. I'm running out of time. Maybe I won't do what I was planning on doing. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, maybe I won't do it. I was gonna read you the one of the poems I submitted to this competition. I think it's the second biggest competition, at least in terms of prize, that I've submitted to. There's only one that I've submitted to bigger than this. Anyway, I guess what I was trying to get at is my friend Duncan once said to me when I was really in it, he said, connection is the antidote. And I've never forgotten that, and that ties into what I was reading today about people who have healed from great tragedy and, you know, deep wounds that a lot of the time I think that, yeah, they have learned to have some creative outlet for it. So I offer that to you today if you're feeling like you just don't know which way is up right now and you don't know what to do. And hitting like or subscribe or something is too much for you, okay. That's okay. You know, like I said, I got somebody I love very, very much. I can tell just can't face it. Doorstep of adulthood, and it's just really having a hard time. Some health problems. Last year, serious health problems, and I completely get it. I've been there. It's part of why I understand somebody like that so much. I get it. When I was in my, you know, early mid-20s, it was tough. I couldn't handle it. I mean, it's very hard for me to do this, and this piece, I've never read it to an audience because I can't get through it without crying. Even last night when I was editing it, I wrote this like almost 15 years ago. And I've spent over 100 hours working on it, without a doubt. It even has a bibliography. It's the only poem I've ever written that has a bibliography, because I quote a lot of things in it. But even revising it, last night for the first time in a while, for this competition, took a look at it again. I was thinking about Charles Bukowski and how he just used to just throw his stuff out there, and I was like, what a fool I've been. What a fool I've been. I mean, it's okay. It was supposed to happen now and not any other time, but I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Anybody could. That's reality we all live. We could. You remember that great film, American Beauty? That one line. I mean, I know he's disgraced now, but the character Lester Burnham. There's a saying that today is the first day of the rest of your life. That's true for every day except the last day of your life, except the day your life ends. That's pretty close. I actually haven't watched that film in probably 10 years, and I think that's not bad that I remember that. It's not too surprising to me. I mean, because of what I went through as a kid, I think my mind developed a little differently. I've got unusual recall for things like that because I was in survival mode, and so I wasn't coding memories. I had so much trauma. It can, one of the symptoms of that, I don't like the word disorder, I'll go into that another time, but one of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress is acute memory loss. And I've got about a 5-year window from age 11 to 16 where I remember almost nothing, which is why it's interesting. I do remember the alarm clock thing because that happened in that window, in that ocean that I just had this gulf. But I've been to on vacations and stuff to places I went back as an adult telling my friends I had never been there, and I'm walking around like, this is really creepy. Like this is just like tripping me out, and it turned out I had been there. I just didn't remember. Or today someone brought up something from a famous film in the 90s, and I was like, oh wow, I completely forgot about that. That's right. And we were having a laugh. And I was able to quote from this thing I had no memory of. I could not have actively pulled that out of my memory. If you had said, hey, you remember this film? And this, and you know, and said, hey, tell me what you remember. I would have told you a bunch of things, but that part, I could not have gotten that. It had cobwebs on it, and someone brushed off the cobwebs today, and I was able to. So, yeah, I think I'll table it, and maybe I'll read this tomorrow. But I've never been able to read it without crying. And I used to be so shy about that, like, and now I'm like, dude, what do we care anymore? What people think of us, you know? Our ancestors who was in the early 1940s, early mid 1940s, we did not want to send our sons and husbands over to the beaches of Normandy. We did not want to do that. Nobody wanted to do that. No one in their right mind wanted to do that. They did it out of a sense of duty, a sense of obligation, a sense of the dire circumstances in which they were living. It sucked. But I guarantee you that when they got that, paperwork, this is when you're shipping out, a lot of these insecurities for them went right out the window. Or like even me, my first video, I had a little pimple on my cheek. That would have been enough to break me. I wouldn't have filmed a few years ago. Oh my goodness. How stupid that seems to me now. So I don't care if you see me cry. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here any more than you do. And I understand, I'm sunburned, but I mean I don't know exactly what my lineage is. I think I'm a little more than half Irish, but I'm also Italian. I'm like a quarter Italian, and I do tan. Have to kind of cook through the Irish. So, but we have such a rare Irish name in my family. We were able to trace our lineage back to Viking ancestry, and I think I understand that whole the idea behind Valhalla. I really understand that. Because if we fight hard enough, it's like there is great peace. I think it's very peaceful, no matter however we end up. We fought really hard for truth and honor and things like that. No matter how this experience concludes, it's okay. So I'll tell you the title tonight of this piece. It's called Snow Blossoms by Half Light. There's an older version of it on my Instagram profile. It'd be very hard to read though. You'd have to like zoom in and don't even bother. I'll share it with you. I'll try it tomorrow. I think I'll start earlier. I won't go for an hour-long walk and get dinner that I don't even eat before I start. It's called Snow Blossoms by Half-Light. And there's an epigraph from that book I mentioned recently, The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It says, "If this indeed be the hour in which I lift up my lantern, it is not my flame that shall burn therein." The competition said nothing about doing this. This is not disqualifying me. It can't be published anywhere, but social media doesn't count for this. So anyway, I will, I do need to, I want to do a day 8 reprise with the fireworks and cut that, but it's got away from me today. I was just so angry about all this stuff, and I want to help. I mean, I need a bigger audience. I've got to start working on it. Start reaching out to people I know, like friends that I've helped. Say, hey, it's all good. You don't want to, but could use some support here. You could help me. You got more followers than I do. Throwing my life at this. I don't really care that much what happens to me anymore. I just want this dark chapter in human history to end brightly. So, okay, I've got to go because I've still got to sit for an hour, and I need to get enough sleep. We need to take care of ourselves. If we want to help others, we should help ourselves first. So, I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, it's 30 minutes. Wow. But guys, you can say it with me if you want. Donald Trump, you are fired. Day 10 out of 100. I'm reactivating my meditation practice. I'm cranking it up a notch. And for 90 days, I usually do 2 hours a day, hour in the morning, hour at night. But I will do at least 1 hour. I can't always do 2. I'm going to really try. But I hope with all my heart we're counting down the last 90 days of this madness. And just like an illness gets worse sometimes before it gets better, the healing process, the symptoms will worsen. When you lance a boil, all this nasty stuff will come out. It's kind of like that. It's going to be rough. So steel yourselves and feel like you just can't take any more. I mean, I was walking around and I was like feeling like I feel there's so much strength in the human spirit, so much strength. And it's in the moments when we feel like we're just so beaten and down and broken. How could we ever go on? How could we ever face this again? That's when we find out, oh, this is what the people we look at now in hindsight, however many hundreds of years or thousands of years later, how strong they were, even if it broke them in the end, or broke them at one point, but then they found that strength again and came back to themselves. One person in particular broke him. Some of the worst things that ever happened to anybody happened to that poor man. And he had the wherewithal at the end to say, you don't know what you're doing. Pity is the appropriate way to regard these people. Look at already the legacy of Lindsey Graham, how tarnished it is. And rightly so. I heard what that guy, Capitol Policeman Fanone, another Italian, Paisano, I feel you, said about it. He personally dealt with that guy. That's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to hear that, because it's like, yeah, that's damning. Dude, I don't like necessarily that you tell him that you hope he's going to hell, but like, I understand. I get it. I feel that. I completely feel that. And I've had experiences with people where like I won't talk to certain people ever again because they just crossed the line, and I'm like, I just said life's too short. I got bigger fish to fry. So this is tough, guys. It's tough. So pat yourself on the back, especially if you watched all of this. I'm gonna go, but tomorrow, day 11, I'll start earlier so I have some more time. Today was tough for me. I got to get back on my rails, as I call it. I don't like it when I go off the rails. There will be a time, I think, for me to roar and for me to shout, but I don't want to shout here quite yet. I don't think it'll help us come together right now. We need gentle guidance right now. So, peace be with you. Rest well. Donald Trump, you are fired. So fired. I can't speak for all the people right now, but I know a lot of us feel that way. This needs to be said. Donald Trump, you are fired. Get some rest, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.